what is, and the world is changing around, not even around the world, right? But literally in the doorstep, dramatic change.
So Ola talked about filters, and I'm as an educator, I'm very interested in trying to understand how Japan's shift to, as an aging society, huge numbers of elderly people in Japan, very low birth rate, very small portion of young people, how that's going to affect their media consumption and the information they receive. And then at the same time, recently there's a trend in Japan to actually become more inward looking, and young people aren't leaving Japan, and you can only get so much from media and sort of superficial information. It's a concern to me that people aren't actually going out and actually spending time and interacting with people in other countries and other.
It's kind of ironic, right? Because with discount airlines, with the internet, almost every single country in the world is getting more knowledgeable and more connected, directly connected. I mean, look at TEDx, right? We all know each other so well, right? And we don't necessarily always rely on media. So it's quite shocking to me, like, okay, your young people, of all demographics are getting more inward looking. And that in a sense is objectively almost not good, right? Because you should be more connected rather than less in many ways, unless it's a deliberate choice. What do you reckon is going on? Because you meet a lot of university students, right? What is going on in their minds in terms of, are they even interested in what's going on in Southeast Asia, in China?
Well, certainly they're interested. The question is, what are they reading, and what are they learning, and where are they getting the information? So actually, I've adopted the Factfulness textbook for a course I teach next semester on critical thinking. So I'm excited to work with you on developing some teaching materials. Right?
Brilliant.
So again, back to education. Really, education is key.
And the book will be in Japanese or in
No, in English.
Oh, it comes in Japanese too.
Yeah, we're going to use the English version because that's also part of it too. To use another language, to be able to talk with other people about it in another language.
Cool. So I guess because time is short, right? So for each of you, what is your burning question that you have for Ula? Whoever goes first.
I'm going to ponder over it a bit, so I think I'm going to give you the bit. The ladies first, excuse the over.
Well, so I really enjoyed a lot of what you said about giving it away. That's a question that, as a TEDx organizer, people always said to me, I can't believe that people just give their ideas away, but can you just tell us a little bit more about that philosophy? Because that really resonates with me, the importance of just being willing to share this information.
It's interesting. You phrase it as a philosophy. That's a very prestigious word. It's more of a method to actually have things happen. It's okay. Let's turn it around. Like the unwillingness to share. Where does that come from? It's quite common that people have understood that if I protect my things and have monopoly on it, I've been working with public agencies who produce statistics, and they sit on a big database, and there's no other such database, because they did the census, and now they are the only ones who actually counted everybody. No company have done a similar thing. And then the human instinct of protecting that kicks in. We call it the database hugging disorder, DBHD. And it comes naturally to people. This is mine, and as soon as it has a value. So breaking out of that spell is definitely in some sense a philosophy. It's based on understanding mechanisms beyond your intuitive protectiveness. For me, it started by not being able to access these public statistic data sources. We bought from the World Bank the CD called World Development Indicators. I extracted the Microsoft Access database from it and pushed it into our bubble chart and published it for free on our website. And then we got a letter from the lawyers at the World Bank, this was back in 1999 or 2000, saying you have to pull that down, it's against our terms. And then we realized, okay, no, let's have them bring us to court and see what happens. And of course they didn't, because it wasn't their data in the first place. They had tax-funded data on their CD. And then they said, okay, can we buy your software instead? And they invited us to the World Bank, and we sat down and we told them that, no, you can't buy it, we'll give it to you for free. And that was that was like, it was so exciting as an underdog back then. We had no resources, realizing that we had a treasure, but giving it to them, they didn't want it. So instead they started developing a replica of our bubble chart before we sold it to Google. And we gave it to Google because Google had the philosophy of giving away. So I think it's a generational thing. Those people who were at the World Bank back then, they had experience going from paper print to CD and ordering a CD. You can still order CDs from UN. So it's difficult for them. They have their administrational system with salaries, and people actually in the publishing department are those who change last, because their only job is to charge for the distribution of physical copies or the licensing. They are the last to change policy. So eventually we went to the top. This is the end of the long